Hello, welcome to Axiom Curve Flux News. Today's date is the 28th of December 2014. We're going to be bringing you some breaking news on today's events, so do stick around.
How you doing, guys? Let's start today's segment with a little stuff on some math and sciences. Something that just kind of popped up on my YouTube subscription last night. I'm pretty excited about this because I've been into this myself, and just to give you a quick introduction, this is called vortex-based mathematics. So if you wish to learn more about this, you can just go to the website vortexmath.webs.com. You can also go to marcorodin.com down here. You guys can all see that, and that'll give you an introduction to this whole style of math and everything, so I won't spend too much time on that. Let's get into this is a tetrahedron, which is kind of like your pyramid. So that shape can sink in our minds. And I'm going to show you a little bit based on the vortex math. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 running this way. You've got 9 running this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 running this way, and it repeats itself forever. And it all perfectly aligns. This is what we refer to as, the geometry of the universe. This is the way it can be explained mathematically. And knowing that, I'm going to watch this little video today. How it all binds. See, just in case I left something else out here. Oh, right. Okay, I'll go back to my math after. Watch this. Power of life. Most ancient mathematics we have on the planet. Wrote in math doubling circuit. X9. It's perfectly balanced. This is the doubling circuit. balanced. Alright, well I was pretty excited. That was a really nice video. And just to quickly touch back on this, this is just a more of a linear view. That was a three-dimensional, but this is with all the numbers. You know, there's your Merkaba there in the middle, also known as the Star of David, stuff like that. But what's interesting is all these pink, I call them cogs, because they seem to be throughout this geometrical math. They seem to hold everything together. They're the matrix. And within every one of these pink cogs is the Rodin math. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, 1. It cycles like that. And as you can see, every pink dot there, those are the little Rodin wheels. That's the vortex map. Holds everything together. And that video, they were just talking with the relationships with the nines and the threes. It's hard to see on here, but you can see that they also have a very interesting relationship. The nines always remain 9. It never changes. And the 3 and the 6, as you just showed, is the doublet circuit. 3, 3, 9, 6, 6, 9, 3, 3. So every one of these bands has the 3, 6, 9. And this, of course, is running in a three-dimensional axis. So that's the Tetrahedron and the Merkaba. And the Rodin math, the flower of life, tree of knowledge, tree of life, they are all the same. And I just wanted to share that. Okay, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks for that, Bok. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what Andy would think on the clip that you had up there to do with the gravity well, Marco Rodin's gravity well. But moving on, let me share my screen.
Oh, sorry guys, I'd had that on mute, but very interesting. Thank you, Bok. Excellent stuff. I'm relatively a novice looking into the Rodin coil and the maths associated with it, and the connection to the double tetrahedron, etc., etc. But very interesting video, and something to carry on to for everyone's knowledge. Like I say, mine's very, very limited. But there we go. Cheers, Bok. Nice video.
Thanks, Andy.
Okay guys, today's Sunday 28th of December news. I'd like to start off with a bit of breaking news for you. AirAsia flight QZ8501 is missing. Search for the plane carrying 162 passengers from Indonesia to Singapore suspended overnight. Aircraft is in the third belonging to Malaysia-based airlines base that has been lost in 2014, but this time A major search operation into the missing AirAsia plane carrying 162 people that lost contact with ground control has been suspended for the night. The search operation for the plane, which is believed to have gone missing while flying over the sea, was halted as darkness fell and will resume in the morning at 6 AM local time. The Singapore-bound plane had taken off from the provincial city of Surabaya in Indonesia and lost contact with air traffic control at 7:24 AM Singaporean local time, nearly 2 hours after takeoff. Both countries are now conducting a major search and rescue operation for flight QZ8501, and South Korea has said it will help also. There was no update on the plane's whereabouts more than 6 hours after it went missing. There's a little graph here there if you want to have a little look. Somebody's done a tweet, satellite image around the time AirAsia flight went missing, very vigorous thunderstorms north of Surabaya. Try and scroll down a bit here. In pictures, hold on. In pictures, missing AirAsia flight, some of the family members there. So guys, we have to keep a watch on this one.
Yo, it's interesting. Scroll back up to the picture of that airline for a sec.
Of the airline at the top?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you see it?
It's a little blurry, but in the back it says on the aircraft, I could read it before, it said...
That's what it says on the plane in the back.
Aircraft. The airline ticket's quite expensive.
Just a few more to finish. Was shot down over a flight from Amsterdam. Took a total of 298 people on board were killed. The crew's request for an unusual route is curious since the weather didn't seem to be anything unusual, said William Waldock, an expert on air crash search and rescue with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Prescott, Arizona. I think we have to let this play out, he said. Hopefully the airplane will get found, and if that happens it will probably be in the next few hours. Until then, we have to reserve judgment. So I'm not going to say too much on this right now. I'm just going to bring it to your attention.
One thing's for sure, and that's, you know, you can put all the conspiracies and whatnot aside, and one thing's for sure, that it's definitely going to scare people from traveling to that part of the world. Malaysia, Indonesia, and what was the other one? Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand, yeah.
It's becoming an unstable region to fly to.
Well, Waldock cautioned against drawing comparisons to the disappearance of Malaysia Flight 370. So I don't think it's, you know, I think it's too early to say too much on this, but there you go. Keep a track on that, see what you think.
Now, what surprises me is about all these incidents. Well, that particular one on 370, the other one that disappeared off the radar. I mean, disappeared off the radar. Okay, conveniently today there's a thunderstorm and whatever, and the weather pictures, etc. But I thought today's technology could pinpoint anything within a metre or so. And you have this black box recorder, which all these planes have, yet they never seem to find or can pinpoint where these planes go. They've got radar follow it until they lost contact with it. Now, you know, why are they not finding the signals from this black box recorder? I mean, you hear other instances where planes have been or you know, smashed to smithereens, yet the black box recorder seems to be recovered and they can find out whatever and it's still working. Yet these Malaysian and this AirAsian one now, they don't seem to you know, it's like a big mystery. It's like a Bermuda Tetrahedron's grabbed it, you know.
Don't know if that's interesting to you.
Well, the other thing that, obviously, because it's early days and everything, and people can draw their own conclusions, whether it's just an accident, it would be interesting to come back and see who were the passengers on board. I mean, I think there was some interesting people on the Air Malaysia 370, wasn't there?
Right.
Now, later on. We know of a few interesting people, we could put it that way. Obviously not VIPs, as they call them, but that were on the...
Is this the 777 Boeing one, or the 370 Malaysia flight you're referring to, Wanda?
Both of them.
Both of them, okay.
Had some interesting passengers on, that's all I can say, really. I mean, there's plenty of theories out there to the various passengers who were on these planes at the time, especially the one that crashed in the UK. So, I mean, until people get information about who was exactly on board, then people's theories will sort of be a bit quiet, if you know what I mean. So maybe something might come out of that, I don't know. Maybe it's just, well, you know,
until then, guys, we have to reserve judgment. According to the guy who's put an article up, and I think this one's independent, yeah, independent. So according to the guy called William Waldock, he feels we should reserve his judgment. Moving on to the next article. So Winston Churchill's family today begged him not to convert to Islam in a letter that is revealed. He might have been a staunch protector of the British Empire, but the British Prime Minister had a love of the Orient and Islam. It's an article by Matilda Battersby in The Independent. The family of Sir Winston Churchill urged him to fight against the desire to convert to Islam, a newly discovered letter has revealed. The British Prime Minister, who led Britain to victory in World War II, has apparently so taken with Islam and the culture of the Orient that his family wrote to try and persuade him not to become a Muslim. In a letter dated August 1907, Churchill's soon-to-be sister-in-law wrote to him, "Please don't become converted to Islam. I have noticed in your disposition a tendency to orientalise Pasha-like tendencies I really have. If you come into contact with Islam, your conversion might be effected with greater ease than you might have supposed. Cold of the blood, don't you know what I mean? Do fight against it." The letter, discovered by a history research fellow at Cambridge University, Warren Doctor, was written by Lady Gwendolyn Bertie, who married Churchill's brother Jack. Churchill never seriously considered converting, Doctor told The Independent. He was more or less an atheist by this time anyway. He did, however, have a fascination with Islamic culture which was common among Victorians. Churchill had opportunity to observe Islamic society when he served as an officer of the British Army in Sudan. In a letter written to Lady Lytton in 1907, Churchill wrote that he wished he were a Pasha, which was a rank of distinction in the Ottoman Empire. He even took to dressing in Arab clothes in private, an enthusiasm he shared with his good friend, the poet Wilfred S. Blunt. But Doctor thinks Churchill's family need never have worried about his interest in Islam. So, what's your thoughts on this one, guys? Do you see any particular relevance to why this article would be put out on such a day when...
The stuff that I think he was interested in is the same sort of stuff that your Madame Blavatsky and others are interested in the Orient, and it's mysticism. It's the mysticism of it. It's not the, this article might be misleading to some, thinking that, oh, Churchill's interested in like the way Islam and, this is presented today, but it's far away from the mystic side of the religion than it is the way it's, it's being commercially pumped today. It was more of a mystic knowledge, shamanism type thing.
Yeah. In
Kabbalah, Hermetic stuff, all that, it's different.
In 1940, when Churchill was leading Britain's fight against Nazi Germany, he gave his support to plans to build what became the London Central Mosque in Regent's Park, putting aside £100,000 for the purpose, in the hope of winning the support of Muslim countries in the war. What's your thoughts, Andy?
Well, actually, the only thing I was thinking, but you covered it in the article, was about his early influences with the Muslim religion when he was a young Churchill. I think he was correct me if I'm wrong, either a war correspondent, and he ended up fighting or doing his thing in Sudan at the time, and obviously that had heavy influences on his thoughts about the Muslim religion and the people. It was obviously, there was a big influence on him early in his life, and obviously he could see more than what any sort of average person would see in those days, because he was...
That region had been under Turkish rule at the time.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
That's true. So, maybe he was swayed by that.
Here, in Turkey, a sect of the Muslim faith, they're called Sufi, and a mystic Sufi is kind of shunned upon by modern Muslims today, and they're probably closer to the real thing, because they get the big picture of how the universe and the universal creator and all, it's different.
Mm.
Well, that's right, Bok. I think the average, I include myself, not totally, but I've tried to expand my education about all these things, but nobody, the average guy or woman or whatever in UK or Western world or whatever, has got a very, very short sight on all of this. They're very, and they don't really understand, complexity of all it. And obviously Churchill did, because of his influence at such an early age of travelling and obviously reporting on things going out there, and actually being involved in the military there at an early age. So,
well, I can see what would have attracted him to it, because the mystic Sufism was more about a type of worshipping nature.
Yeah.
Their view of the all creator was that he was present everywhere and he was universal and it was within nature. So it wasn't a deity as it's been transformed today.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
Very good.
Okay, that's my articles. What about you, Andy? What have you come up with?
Let me try and get my screen share on, because I've kind of decoupled. I showed you this guy. Actually, we'll start off. We'll start off with something else. Where are we? I'm all over the place here, guys. Oh yes, just basically, US and NATO formally end war in Afghanistan. The United States and NATO have formally ended the 13-year war in Afghanistan with a ceremony at their military headquarters in Kabul. It marked the completion of the US-led International Security Assistance Forces combat mission as foreign troops prepared to take on a purely supportive role. ISAF Commander General John Campbell symbolically rolled up the green and white ISAF flag and raised the flag of the new mission, resolute support. He paid tribute to the troops who helped unseat the Taliban in the wake of the September 11 attacks. Together we have lifted the Afghan people out of the darkness of despair and given them hope for the future, he told an audience of Afghan military officers. You've made Afghanistan stronger and our country safer, he said. Anyway, moving on a little bit, but from the 1st of January, ISAF will be replaced by 12,500 strong NATO training and support mission, mostly comprised of US soldiers. They will be tasked with assisting the Afghan army and police in their ongoing battle against the Taliban. The ceremony comes 2 months after the official exit of the British troops ahead of the end of year deadline. ISAF has suffered 3,484 military deaths since the start of the war in 2001. It was set up as an umbrella for the coalition of some 50 nations who provided troops and took responsibility for security across the country. At its peak in 2010, some 140,000 foreign troops were based in Afghanistan. That figure has since been in decline, with the Afghan army handing control over nationwide security last year. It's been faced with persistent Taliban attacks, undermining Western claims that the insurgency is weakening and increasing fears the 13-year-old war was in vain. It then goes on to say, I'll try and cover this a bit quicker, it's not a big thing. The US and NATO mission was an absolute failure, as today's ceremony shows, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid told news agency AFP. Sorry about my pronunciation, but there you go. They are fleeing from Afghanistan. They have not reached their goals in defeating the Afghan Mujahideen. It's very relevant now, I think, Mujahideen. According to the United Nations, civilian casualties hit a record high in 2014, jumping by 19%. An estimated 3,188 civilians have been killed by the end of November. Sunday's ceremony, held in a sports hall at the NATO headquarters, was arranged in secret due to the threat of the Taliban strikes in the Afghan capital. Well, that sums up the last bit, doesn't it? I mean, they've made such a difference, and they've got rid of the Taliban, that they decided to hold the ceremony in a sports hall at NATO headquarters before of being attacked by the Taliban that they're supposed to be got rid of. But there we go, 13 years of war after 9/11, and at the end of the day, after all that's happened and all the destabilisation of the area, and it's constantly being destabilised. I mean, everybody's got their own idea of what it's all about. I won't go into mine, because it would be long and detailed like most. But anyway, what's your thoughts on that, Bob?
Well, I'd just like to step in and say, where it says an estimated 3,188 civilians had been killed by the end of November, in comparison to the 3,485 military deaths since the start of the war in 2001.
I know, yeah.
Really?
I mean, if everybody thinks that, that was done in the name of democracy and making it a better place for the Afghan people, I think seriously, I've got some sort of reality.
The Mujahideen were armed and backed by America during their fight against the Soviet occupation. And later on, they're now being labeled as the Taliban.
Well, don't forget, they morphed into Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda, they morphed into all these different...
Oh, right, and then now you have this other group, Al-Qaeda.
So, anyway, I didn't want to hang too around about that. I think most people that would watch this will already know what the real reasons why it was done.
But I guess on a good note, this article is trying to, put across the end to it all in a negative way, and they're trying to say that the ones that are remaining are to support Afghanistan. But I thought we was going to be told that everybody would be leaving. Is that not the case?
Well, apparently that was one. That's how one would think about it. You know, when they say this, that all the troops will be leaving, but no, it's just a continued destabilisation of the area, isn't it? You know, the whole.
Well, I remember the one of the big Mujahideen leaders when the Russian war ended, and I believe he represented the region of Kandahar. I forget his name, Mekmatar or something like this. Anyway, he said that they have enough arms, you know, from these past wars stocked up. They have enough arms to last them the next 30 years or something like that, he said.
Yeah.
So he said they don't need anybody's assistance because they have enough arms for 30 more years.
Exactly. Well, I mean, there was a million Russian troops, was there not?
You know, these arms are the leftover Russian stockpiles and the arms that were, of course, given to them by USA, and the other arms that were, you know, supported to them through Pakistan and Iran and other various, like, I mean, they had arms from all over the world going there.
Yeah, no, there's no shortage of weapons, was there, in the country, and there never ceased to exist a short supply of weapons. So it's just, I think it's just a continued destabilisation. Nothing has
Right.
changed, and that's the way they, you know. I think personally that's why they went in there, is to destabilise the whole complete area, and it's continuing today. And we see it in Syria, don't we?
Yeah.
In Libya, we saw it in Iraq, we saw it in Libya, we've seen it in Syria, or certain parts of other parts of the Middle East. So
I can tell you who'll win the war, and the mountains will win that war.
yeah.
The Himalayas will win.
Alright, okay. Well, I'll move on from that. We just get now for something completely different. Oh, that's not it. I showed you guys this video, this guy on this motorcycle a couple of weeks ago. And when he is on, actually, he's on an electric powered motorcycle in the Isle of Man. It's called the TT Races there. The significance of this is as you can see, he's travelling at a fair old leg. And anyway, he done a lap record which was just basically 15 miles per hour as the lap average than the fastest normal combustion motorcycle record. So as you can see, without you know, it's a bit frightening actually.
And that's not speeded up, that is it, Andy?
Pardon?
For those people that are probably suggesting that could be fast forwarded, speeded up, it's most definitely not.
You only have to know a little bit about 100. He done a lap record at let me read this down. 117.366 miles per hour. That's an average. And the Isle of Man circuit, one lap is several miles over the mountain and everything. So that's the whole overall consistent speed. That's his constant speed doing the whole lap, 117. That means he went 117 mile an hour continuously around this road. So I mean, that's some speed. He obviously peaked well over 150, perhaps 170 miles per hour in certain parts of the road, but that's the average overall taken from the lap. So anyway, we'll put a stop to that. The reason why I showed that is, if
Can you
anybody
put a picture of that bike, Andy?
I haven't actually. I have somewhere kicking around, but I'd have to fly around. But it's just something a bit like, you know, this type of thing here. Without digressing too much, it just looks like a regular, ordinary motorcycle.
Oh, okay.
You know, but it
looks like.
It's just an ordinary, average sort of motorcycle. But again, I don't. Actually, let's get off there. But if I move on to the whole point of me showing that, the reason why I showed that is that they have the technology in electric power now to power the average saloon for 300 or 400 miles per charge. Okay, and the torque speed in these sort of things is well beyond the normal, petrol combustion engine or diesel, whatever. But they obviously don't want to release it all. The significance of that motorcycle is it's only 15 mile per hour lap record behind the record of a combustion bike around there, the fastest thing that's ever been around there. And the fact of the matter, it just points out that the technology, the closing the gap from electric power to normal combustion is not there anymore. They've gone past it in actual fact. I think they actually had to choke that motorcycle down, the torque, to 50%. Otherwise it would have just flown him off if he'd have opened the throttle. He just wouldn't have been able to control it, there's so much torque.
Well, I like the bottom portion of that article on the Wikipedia there, where it says, unlike oil, coal and gas, the supplies of which are finite and subject to geopolitical tensions, renewable energy systems can be built and used wherever there is sufficient water, wind and sun.
Exactly, which you basically read off the article I was moving on to. And it's about the renewable energy surge that is upon us. And this is another reason why I'm connected. Yesterday I was talking about the price of oil, the barrel coming down. People are saying it's to destroy of course it's to try and geopolitical, fighting between the West and the East and whatever. But if they are picking in the same pot, as I said yesterday, very briefly, it's to bring in the new technology. It doesn't come in easy. A complete transfers from some people they call them fossil fuels, but from
this might be a good example for England to follow, because China could never afford to buy all that gas anyway. So this is interesting that they had no choices why they did this, and it's turning out to be an amazing thing.
It says here that in 2000, renewable energy in China, I was quite surprised when I read this because I'm only just looking into it, like everybody else. So it says in 2013, China led the way in renewable energy production with a total capacity of 378 gigawatts, I should imagine that is, mainly from hydroelectric and wind power. As of 2014, China leads the world in the production and use of wind power, solar, photovoltaic power and smart grid technologies, generating almost as much water, wind and solar energy as all of France and Germany's power plants combined. China's renewable energy sector is growing faster than its fossil fuels and its nuclear power. So basically, what they're saying is their renewable energy is growing quicker so they're actually cutting off from the fossil fuel side of thing and nuclear power as well. So they're cutting back on that and they're advancing their renewable energy side of it. And I think this is what you're going to see with the continued emergence of the Far East, and like I said yesterday, and Asia and that part, and along with Russia. I think there's a bit of a red herring going on at the moment with this reduction of oil prices and everything like that. And I think if you look behind the curtain, maybe there's more to it than just using it as financial levers to destroy economies from different countries. So that's what I think. And the motorcycle is just to show you that they have the technology today. I mean, I've got an electric bicycle, and to be honest, you get on that, and it's when I come it itself, but it's
China's going to take its dog out of the race.
Pardon?
China's pulling its horse out of the race. They're not going to care about oil. They're going to sell their oil and gas because they don't need it.
No.
And they're making moves for the future, and the world is getting left behind.
Absolutely, and the other thing is, Bill, very, very briefly, is that all this American debt that they've purchased over the past decade or so, they've actually used most of that to buy in tons and tons of gold, as you know.
Right.
So, and also they've got a new type of World Bank that I said yesterday, it's a challenge to the IMF, and I can't remember the investment bank in Japan or the Asia, the other one, but that the IMF will be out of the game, because already Russia have got a guarantee from them for I don't know how many billions to cushion the blow of what the persevere is doing and what they're doing with the person driving down and destroying the ruble. Argentina as well have taken a currency exchange deal. Venezuela have taken a currency exchange deal. There's another country I can't remember off the top of my head. So China are becoming a new World Bank lender to these other countries, and they're lending money that's backed with something. Right? The country has no debt, and and there's not so many things tied to the deal. You know, it's not unlikely if you take a developing country takes a loan or is forced a loan from the IMF. There's so many strings attached. It's unreal, and as we know, they use it to take over countries. If you looked at anything how the IMF works. But with China, it's much. There's not so many strings attached. So all these emerging countries now will be going to this new Bank of China and borrowing off them. They're not going to bother with the IMF. So they're the new emerging. It is emerging all the way round. Energy, banking, financial, the whole thing. But obviously, these transitions are not going to happen smoothly.
Well, all I can say to this, Andy, it sounds pretty good. The only thing I have got a problem with is if they're going to expect us to drink oil, eat coal, and breathe gas. That's the only thing I can say on that article, but yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, but the thing, and absolutely. I'm not saying that you won't. It may not still lead to a new world order. I mean, that still obviously goes without saying. You can still look at a serfdom or whatever. So it's just a change over in how the game's being played. That's all, boys. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to say that. You might be just using different counters and different rules, but the games carry on.
Well, I like what they're doing just for environmental reasons, strictly.
I do.
I remember I saw some pictures years ago in a National Geographic magazine, and it showed China's solar panels, and it was the world's largest area of solar panels. And it was just amazing to see. It was just like miles and miles of square acres of just solar panels, eh?
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we can be aware of what's going down with austerity measures and all this business.
You stick these things out in a hot, arid desert where nobody lives, and you make use of that, area.
When we go back to the carbon footprint, China's got the biggest one, yeah?
Yeah, but it's weaning off of it.
Yeah.
It's replacing it with renewable energy. A lot of people, this is what this article's about. It's about...
Yeah, it doesn't eliminate plastic, unfortunately. But
no. But all I'm saying is that it's a lot more ahead with the renewable energy than most people know.
Right.
Because remember, they're quite a secretive communist country still. I mean, you can't just go online and Skype somebody in Beijing and have a conversation, can you?
Yeah, so, you can. I can. The People's Republic of China now, innit?
Well, I don't see many on YouTube. I don't see many on Skype. I don't see many on Facebook, do you?
No, they're obviously not Facebook. Unless they're using the dark side to Facebook, which they can now access.
But we don't really know, even today, that what's really going on in China. You're only told.
Yeah, I've spoke to a few people, and and then they've said to me a lot of stuff that they put on our news, making out like China's doing well and they're doing all this and they're picking themselves up. I was told by just a normal standard person, just like me and you, but who lives in China, that it's absolutely no different to how we're living. There's still many people over there living in poverty, and it's mainly equivalent to the city of London, shall we say.
But that's not bad in a few years.
No, it's not bad, no. To say out the population size, it's not bad.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's not good either because, you know...
But don't be deceived when you hear these stories that China's doing this and the greatest for doing that. They're still struggling looking after the people.
Well, that's true, but without their manufacturing, this consumerism economy throughout the Western world would have collapsed ages ago.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So they've kind of served purpose in that respect, and not a good purpose in my book, because
well, they're doing better than India, and India's started to mine again, aren't they? Or they've got plans put forward to try to mine to bring a certain area of India some electricity.
Yeah.
So at least it's a step above that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's basically it. Or is just putting it.
Yeah, good article. That. Any more articles, Andy?
No, that's me done now, PJ.
What's your UK government plan that I can see? Is that one?
There is another one there if you want a quick brief. Again, it ties in with that. UK government plans to phase out all our gas-fired cookers and heating systems.
Heating systems?
Very sure. Millions of households cook their turkeys in their gas oven on Christmas Day, but if the government has its way, such a familiar festive scenes will be a thing of the past in not so distant future. Now, Whitehall's crazy eco-zealots want to ban your gas cooker, writes Christopher Booker. In a 9 article, reports us for turning up the thermostat to ensure our gas boiler keeps our home snug and warm on a chilly festive morning. That simple action, too, is under threat, even though some 90% of all homes in Britain are heated by gas. It's just very short here. Households across the country will be hard to learn that over the next decade or two, the government plans to phase out all the gas-fired cookers and heating systems, forcing us to replace them at a cost of untold billions. Official documents reveal the government seriously contemplating that within 25 years or so, gas will be all but banned, along with petrol and diesel. Yeah.
I'm not being funny, but don't you think they should start on these disposable gas lighters first? Because I'm sick of using them and buying them every day. Why don't they just bring, an electric cigarette lighter, and then they can start moving onto your vehicles on your roads and, your cookers in your house and all this.
Well, I don't know why you're using them, PJ. There's plenty of alternatives.
Just seems a little bit,
You don't need them to light your cigarette gas lighter. There's plenty of other things you can use, but yeah, I know what you mean though. The intention is that not only cooking and eating, but all else, including our cars and most of the vehicles on Britain's roads, will have to be powered by electricity. I'll go back to my original Isle of Man fellow on his electric powered motorcycle. It's not being planned because of gas or oil supplies have run out, or even because of any looming shortage. On the contrary, the world is now facing a glut of gas and oil, thanks in part to the shale gas revolution led by the US country, which almost overnight has become the world's largest natural gas producer as a result of the process called fracking, where water and sand are at high pressure into the shale rock, release the oil and gas inside. This has led to plummeting prices and prompted for many industries to switch to gas. Yet our own rulers want to abandon it, astonishingly the plan to change the way we cook our food and heat our homes being instigated by the government as the only way by which we can meet a statutory...
But they're still not...
Climate Change Act, you see? Statutory climate change. This particular piece of legislation was pushed through Parliament 6 years ago by Ed Miliband as first ever Secretary of State for Energy and Climate Change, and the decree that Britain must cut its emissions of carbon dioxide from fossil fuels by a staggering 80% within 35 years. Okay, it might be a load of baloney, but I can see change even around me.
But they're still going to go fracking, they're still going to get the shale, and they'll sell it on to an unfortunate country. It's not going to stop them from doing all this, I don't think.
No. And if they want to frack, they'll frack, but it won't be for the people in that country's benefit.
No.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to expose ourselves to the dangers of fracking to benefit another country who's not as fortunate.
Yeah.
Well,
realistically speaking, they should move to a cheaper, form of electricity. Ones we've already discussed, alternative methods. And I think taking gas out of the equation is a good thing, because that's dangerous too. And the fracking natural gas is not a healthy alternative either.
Well, they're hydrocarbons. They fracture the shale rock.
Yeah.
And hydrocarbons are organic. It's nothing to do with fossils. Nothing to do with fossil fuels.
Going to cause problems down the road, definitely.
Absolutely. So, exactly, Bob. So,
and you pointed out to us before that, Britain does not have a lot of land, and to be fracking a small island is, you're moving on dangerous territory.
Well, it's insanity.
Well, beyond insanity.
Yeah. The total thing about all of this is there is alternative green, they call it green as they call it, renewable energy in the bucket.
I mean, the tidal waves, solar and wind, you don't even need anything else.
No. But you know how these go about these things and what they go about these things for. But it's all interesting stuff.
I mean, the money they're spending on these fracking programs, billions of dollars.
Yeah.
They can easily slap solar panels on everybody who owns a house, and that's enough to power the whole grid, the whole system for everybody. Even for people who don't live in houses can take advantage of the free electricity.
Well, it's like
every homeowner has solar panels on their house.
It's like we've been saying lately, but we don't need to sit around and wait for a government to come and put solar panels on his roofs. We do not need to wait for that. We can do it ourselves, and we can start doing it now.
That's where the change will happen. It will be the people fitting their own solar panels, and if they use batteries, if it's sealed lead acid, or even the new lithium packs that are coming about now that you can buy yourself. Listen, hey, that's where the change really happens, and it's all itself. And I think that's the thing.
I mean, for now, they should do both. They should become part of the grid. Get the solar panels. The excess energy goes back into the grid, but you can also have your own reserve. Get a few batteries and keep them charged up.
Yeah.
And that way you're covering both ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, if Mr. Roden continues and he cracks the nut, as we say, Bok, of course there'll be copious amounts of free energy just sitting there waiting to be collected everywhere you look. So there you go.
There you go. That's enough for Axiom Curve Flux news for today. Been very interesting.
All right, guys. Good articles.
Cheers.